Yo, peace, y'all. This video is for the nothing but flavor. He asked me he wants to know how I program my drums. Now I don't know if he has an MV or what, but I'm going to show you how I do it from an MV user standpoint. So if you don't have an MV, I mean, you can still use the workflow, but I'm going to show you from an MV user's workflow or standpoint, because this is what I'm using, obviously. So, all right, here, let me see here. Let me start over for fresh. Let's go to create a new project. Save current. No, do that. And I'll show you my workflow. And people that use this machine, they know, there's a bunch of different ways to do a bunch of different stuff with this. I mean, the only limiting thing to this is that it's slow at times. And what is another one? Like, it's not too many for me because I'm not really concerned with trying to make my music fast. That's not really what, it's not about making music fast, like like an assembly line. It's about having the tools to get across the idea that you have in either in your head or the ideas that you come up with, just manipulating different sounds. So okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I like to do is I like to go to the instrument screen and work from there. The instrument screen and the pattern screen. So talking drums, let's do drums first. So I go to slot 1, which is part 1. I go menu. Number 3 is load patch. So I navigate to my drums. Should I keep in my user? Let's pick something. Let's pick these S2000 drums, and I'll say execute. Now, the way I do this, some people are going to be like, okay, that was long-winded. Why did you do all of that just till you could have did X, Y, Z? You could do X, Y, and Z, but this is the way I do it. So brother wants to see how I do it. I'm showing him how I do it. So, and you can do it a lot of different ways in this. Okay, so part 1 has the S2000 drums. It's a drum kit. So the type of production that I like to do, I know I want a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. So what I do is I go to part 2 and I'll hit library and I'll load those drums back up on part 2. I'll go to part 3, once again, library, and load those drums up again. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and name these right away to keep everything clean, and you'll see why I'm setting it up this way in a minute. So this will be a kick. This will be a snare. This will be a hi-hat. So these 3 set up, hi-hat. All right. Boom, boom, and boom. Another thing I like to do is I like to turn my level, which is the volume to each instrument, down to 50% and start from there. Because as I make the beat, I try and gain stage or, keep a balance while I'm making the beat. I don't just make the beat and then later on mix it. I try to keep a good balance on it and a good mix on it as I make it. So I'll show you I'll show you that too. So now I got those. I turned a few of those down. So now I got my main ones in there. So now I go to pattern screen, hit pattern. I have 1 MIDI track already, so I'm going to add 2 more because I got a kick in the snare and a hi-hat. So 2, and once again I'll name these. But the good thing about this machine is that if I can double click on the name, if I've already written something, it keeps it in a history, so I don't have to keep writing things. So I click history. The first one's a kick. We got kick. Next, snare, history, snare. History, snare, select. Okay, and hi-hat. Click, down, down, select, down. All right, now we can start making some, making a beat. So I go to the kick track, which is track 1. Go ahead and navigate to some drums, some drum sounds. What else we got? Big drums. All right, we'll go with these. All right. So I will hit record. I'm going to hit metronome and turn the level up because these drums are loud. So let's see what we're going to do. So boom bap. I get my tempo about 90. That's cool. And then we go. Turn this count in off to wait. All right, here we go. No quantize yet. Let's see what we got. Cool. I'm cool with that. It's loose. It's loose. It's not sloppy. So now I have that. I like to do my kick and snare together because they go together. So they create the push and pull together. So now I will highlight this. Right click. They copy paste. Go down here to where it says 2-track. Change it to snare and hit execute. So now I have the same pattern on kick and snare. So what I do with the kick is I'll solo it and I will get rid of the snare and keep the kick. So I'll hit record and go to 1 bar count in, hold down event erase and hold the snare down. So now it just leaves me with the kick. Right? Do the same thing with the snare. But you can also erase this way. I go to the snare track. I hit event list. So everything that is a kick, I want to get out of here. So the first two, 4-05, they're kicks. So I can go to erase. 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 Erase and erase. Now I have all snares. I should. Right. Now. Right. Okay. Now we can tap our hi-hat in. So let's tap our hi-hat in. Turn this count in back to wait. Go. No quantize on the hi-hat. Let it be loose. Sounds cool. Now, as you can see, they're still the same color. So because they are still a kit together. Now, the reason why we did the little setup in the instrument screen is this. Now I go to the kick track, hit track parameter. It's already on the kick track. Go to the track parameters on the snare and change this to snare. Hi-hat, track parameter, change this to hi-hat. So now they change colors. Now they're on their own, independent. Now some people might be like, that's long-winded. It might be long-winded, but I don't mind to sit with my stuff. This is how I figured out how to make it separate. I'm one of those guys that I like to have everything separate. I don't care if it's a hi-hat every 4 bars. Open hi-hat every 4 bars. I want it separated. I like to have everything separated so I can zero in on this instrument or that instrument. You know what I mean? So I still like to work that way. So, and plus I send my sounds out of the drum machine into a board. So I like to keep everything, separated. So now that you have that, you can go to your mixer screen and go to part 1 through 8, and now you have everything. You can mute everything. all on their own channel. And now you can hit EQ, and you can start EQ and turn the EQ switch on. So I'll EQ this kick right here. Beefy right there, so I'll back out of it. Boost it up by 1, clean the top end up right here. Put some snap to it. I only notch it by 1. And I won't really boost this. I don't want it to be too boomy because I got other stuff I need to put in the mix, and this will take up a lot of space. So, you know, so we can even cut it by 1 just to kind of tighten it up in a way. All right. Same thing with the snare. Start here in the middle. Don't need this. Don't really need this. Don't really need this. I'll just take it out by 1. Same thing with this. Take it out by 1. Clean the top up a little bit. Right. Without it. With it. Subtle, but you know what I mean, it's there, so you can do that. You know, another thing I like to do, go back to the instrument screen, is go to effects and come down here where it says chorus and go to library and hit delay. I like to use delay and reverb because those are the best 2 effects when it comes to hip hop. You don't really need a whole lot of effects types. Reverb and delay are the best types to me. You got echo and all this other stuff, and that's cool. But, you know, a delay or echo and a reverb, you good, you know. So, so now these controls right here are, instead of it being chorus, now it's a delay and reverb. So now you can independently add effects to your instruments. I add effects to this snare right here. What I like to do is I like to overdo it and then back out of it until I think it sounds good. It's all about taste. So I add 100 of wetness to this snare. Then I just start to back out and listen while I back out and see how I like it. I might like it like that. 35%, I might like it like that. Somebody else might not, but I'm doing it. So, you know, same thing. I might, you know, 100%. Oh, wrong track. I might want it like that, you know, so it's all about taste. So, you know, you got control over that, you know what I mean? And now, when you're ready to add something else, you're right here, track 4, menu, number 3, load the patch. I might want to add a bass or something, you know. Let's go ahead and stop it. I might want to add a bass, and now you flowing. Now you're instrument for instrument. Now everything you, let's see, let's go ahead to my patches, go to basses. I like the thing, you know what, let me use the Rezo bass. Load, I load that into 4. Right, close, instruments. It's already named it Rezo bass, so I go back to pattern and I'll add a track, MIDI track, and I'll go ahead and name it right away just to keep everything clean. This is the workflow, bass. Right here, boom. Go with that, you know. Just having fun. Let's do it again. We won't quantize it. We'll leave it like that. Everything's loose right now. Nothing's quantized. So everything's loose. We leave it like that until we need to, if we ever need to. So we got our bass. Now this is what I was telling you about I like to try to keep everything kind of mixed as I go. I go to sample, resample. This shows me my overall loudness of my beat I got right now. See, it's peaking at a little bit past -4. What I like to do is I like to keep my overall mix around -12. So what I do is I go back to instruments and I'll start turning stuff down. I know for sure the hi-hat doesn't need this much stage time. So, alright. Kick is heavy. So me coming down of it or something. And I'm not really looking at the screen because I'm listening with my ears, and I'm not really looking at the number. I'm just listening with my ears. So the snare sitting where I like it to be. Let's check it now. Sample, resample. Okay, it's down. Let me come out of the snare some. This is just how I think on the fly. And the bass. And I start at 50 and I go backwards. I don't turn stuff up. I turn stuff down. You see what I'm saying? You just turn your volume up. You know what I mean? But that's what tricks people a lot of times, because when you try to keep your overall mix at a certain volume, it's going to be low. So you have to turn your system up so you can hear it more clearer. But trust that, you know, when it's time to master, when it's time to just do any kind of adjustments to it to enhance it, make it sound better, it's gonna be so much better because it's gonna be balanced. You know what I mean? And it's gonna have the right, it's gonna have enough headroom for you or whoever to add and just, you know, keep enhancing it as much as they can because they got the headroom to, you know. So it's a good practice to do it. So let's go back, sample, resample. Okay, I'm cool right there. I think the snare is still, it's just hitting peaks. If I had a compressor on that and caught the peaks, it'd be all good. But let me turn it down a couple more notches. Sample, resample. That's what we want. And now when I continue to add instruments, I make sure that I'm keeping an eye on the stereo bus, so to speak. I'm making sure I keep an eye on it, and I'm tucking those instruments where they need to be and giving those instruments priority that need priority. Like the kick, like the bass should tuck just under the kick. It shouldn't be over the kick. It should just tuck right under the kick. So when they hit together, they're thick. In this case, neither one of these are quantized, so it's not gonna be right on, but that's also a feel. You see what I'm saying? That's also a feel too. So, but yeah, just like that, man. And I keep going, you know. I might wanna, you know, I try to get a drum kit that I like all the sounds in, but you can change, you can add a new drum kit if you want to. You got percussion sounds or whatever that you like on those better. But this is my flow, man. I keep going, instrument after instrument, and just continue to build, whether it's, you know, whether it's something from scratch I'm just making just off the top of my head, or if it's samples that I'm chopping up. Now I might do a sample chopping video if people want to see it, you know what I mean? So brother wanted to see, you know, how I did it, and you know, that's cool. That's peace. So yeah, this is how I do it, and I just continue to go, you know, go to the next one, menu, you know, I might want to add another percussion sound, you know, so I hit library and load these drums back up again. So now I go back to pattern, go right away to add the track, change it to 5, go ahead and name it. Well, I won't have to name it yet because I don't know what I'm. Okay, let's say this triangle right here. Cool. I'll name this. I'll name this triangle. Try. These short names, they show up better on the mixer section. See when I hit mixer, see they all, you know, kick, snare. Oh well, let's see here. Let's go back. Let's name this one now. Call this one try. Naming things in the instrument screen will reflect in the mixer screen. See right here now the try is in here. So the shorter the term, like sometimes I do snare SNR and kick KIK, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that shows up better here. So yeah, man, we just keep moving. All right. And also is my level for this, mute as well. And every time you add an instrument, you're conscious of that mix bus, the sample resample. You're conscious of everything staying right here. So this makes you have this helps you with having a closer balance at least. But if you EQ and use effects and resample and do stuff like that, you basically will be mixing as you make the beat. Say like, for instance, and then I'll wrap it up. Say for instance, my kick track. Okay. So is this my kick track? Let me see something here. Let me see here. Okay, this is it. So say for instance, I go to effects. Go right here to the M effects. Switch this to aux 2. Go to library. Oh, sorry. Make sure I'm on right up here on MFX with the cursor. So I go to library. Go down here to compressor. Right now, these 3 knobs turn into compression settings. Go back to the instruments. On my output assign, I will go to aux 2, which is where the compressor is. Now I go back to effects and I'll start to compress this kick. So I use the threshold to turn it down, right? Now I don't really need to do this, but I'm showing you anyway. I use the attack to let some little top end through. And then I use the output gain to bring the volume back. And then what I do is I go sample, resample, hit start. Oh, sorry. Cancel that. And go to, and I will solo this kick first. And I will go sample, resample, start, hit play, hit stop again. Now that, let's see something. Let me retry that. Yes. Retry. Go down here and hit auto normalize. Auto normalize. Now, resample. Now I hit start, play, stop. Now you can see the compression on here. So this is the compressed kick. Let's see here. You know, see? Ooh. Now what I'll do is patch and I go back and I'll replace it with that one kick, the original kick. I'll replace it. So now what I've done is overwrite, right? And now I go to instruments and turn this back to partial, go to effects, and turn this off, because now I just compressed the kick and replaced it. So now it's a compressed kick. So when you start to do little mixes to stuff, so like you do something to the kick and the snare, and then you resample them and bring them back in, now the effects are already done. So it's kind of like you mixed on the fly when you do stuff like that. So now let me open the, now I got a compressed kick. You know, do the same thing with the snare, compress the snare, resample it, put it back in, because you don't have to program again. All you're doing is changing the sound. So you're making the sound better and then replacing it with the better sound, rather. And if you continue to do that, which it takes no time to, like, once you do a small little mix and resample each little, you know, individual drum sound, you could do the bass too. You can resample anything on here, but that's what I do, man. And with this workflow, another thing with this workflow is that keeping everything clean and named, you can go shift and pad banks, and now you have your mute screen. So now you can kind of get an idea how you might want to arrange your beats or your song or whatever. So, you know. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there it is, man. You know, appreciate y'all for checking it out. Peace.